This Dark Wolf series podcast is brought to you by Bravo Company Manufacturing.
Ben's as sound as any of us.
Are you sure about that?
If you look closely enough, you'll see those strings vibrating.
My father used to tell me that some men will go to war to fight the enemy, but others will seek war to fight themselves.
Get 50 on land!
I need to know that you can find the brakes.
Fuck the brakes.
Listen closely.
Let's say, kick this thing off with, how did you first find out about Raife?
Yeah, so I knew about you, Jack, because I'd listened to you on the Joe Rogan podcast. So that was my first coming upon you and your books and stuff. So I knew about your story and everything and how it all came about to become a TV show. And actually, it was I was on a show called The Umbrella Academy for like 7 years, 4 seasons we did, but I was on it for 7 years. Wow. And then we had this big SAG actors strike straight after I wrapped on that show. So there was this huge gap of like nothing for like, I think we did it for like sort of 5-6 months, that strike. And then Christmas came about, and then you guys, I got an email through from my agent with this show, Terminal List, Dark Wolf, and for the character of Raife Hastings. And that was the very first email I received after the strike. It was like the first thing in my inbox. And so, of course, I knew about the books and everything, right? And Joe Rogan had talked a lot about Savage Son and stuff. So I'd gotten into the audio book for that. So I knew about the character. And then the next stage really was to set up a meeting with Dave DiGilio and Max and Jared and Fred, to talk about Raife, and they gave me the script. They gave me like a few scenes and everything for me to look at to kind of get an idea of what Raife was, I suppose, from a TV perspective and that story. And I knew you'd have been involved in that, right, and the birthing of Raife for the show. And I've now learned how heavily you were involved in this, which is perfect because we wouldn't have it any other way. But yeah, I had this first meeting with, and like anything that I meet for, I'm always very open-minded to the ideas that they have versus what I don't ever want to go into something, look at a page and go, oh, he's got to be this. I'm always really interested to know what they see a character as well. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I took the meeting, and the first thing that hit me after that meeting was how amazing that team is. I remember thinking after that first meeting, and I even said to my wife, Laura, I was like, man, I want to be a part of that team. I want to be with those guys, the way that they operate and the way that they just talked about the show and the role of Raife, that sort of thing can really make you want to do a job. It really can, because it's the people you're working with on a daily basis and how they operate, right? So yeah, that was the first bit of the process. And then I did a reading of the scene that I had for them. And then the next day I was doing a chemistry read with Taylor Kitsch and Chris Pratt to do scenes with both of those guys, which was great. Like I loved getting to interact. And it's so weird now, right? Because you have to do everything on a Zoom. Yeah. Because we're like, they're in different places in the States. And in fact, I think Kitsch was up in, where was he? He might have been in Canada at the time. Yeah. But it's crazy how you can still kind of gauge whether there's chemistry and stuff there, right? And I think you were on that call as well, right? I think you were on that. I can't
remember if I was on that one, because I saw your read, and then there were multiple reads, and it's not an easy scene that we gave you to read. Like, it's like one of the tougher ones, I think. you know, because it's you. I mean,
Yeah.
for the first one out of the gate, it's not like you know, broing it out with Chris and Taylor. It's like a serious scene that you have to do in those reads, and you have to do it so many times. And I remember I'm going to watch Black Sails, and I'm like I'm trying to fast forward to find every scene with you in it and everything. And yeah, that was awesome though. I mean, it was very clear that to me that you were Raife, man.
Oh, good, man. Well, I'm glad you thought that, because I mean, for me, you seeing me as Raife was so important. You know, like it just, if you hadn't seen me as Raife, I'd be like, forget about it. Like that's the most important thing here, right? You know, you created him. You know, so it's the vision in your head. So it's so important. But yeah, so like I did the reads with Chris and Taylor, and then I had one more read with Chris. To go over like the one final scene, and then I got the call the next day. Yeah, so I was so pleased, man, to become a part of this whole world, and then I like dived deep into all the books. I was all, because through the audition process, I'd already started like getting into all the early ones and stuff, and so I went really deep into it and just got more and more excited.
Yeah. When did you realize, or did you know ahead of time, like how big of a character Raife is to the readership, and how much people have been looking forward to seeing Raife, how disappointed they were in the first show that it was just a note because we couldn't find someone to the right person. We didn't want to put someone in that wasn't the right person because it's such an important character. So Raife in the first season is just a note that you leave, have left for Chris and Taylor. Did any of that? Did you start seeing more of that as you got the role? And did you see like any comments on social, or realize that, hey, this is a character that people have been waiting for a long time?
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing, right? Is that there's always, you feel this huge weight of responsibility when there's a fan favorite character from a book, right? And to bring him to life. And I told you, I sent you an email saying, look, this is not something I take lightly by any means. Like I see this as a huge challenge for me, and something that I take very personally, and I believe I hold these people's vision of a character that they've fallen in love with in my hands, right? So that requires a lot of work and research, and for ultimately what I did was delve into the books and kind of go, who do I see Raife as, right? Who is he to me? Because I feel like that will give me like a generic understanding of what everyone is kind of seeing, right? And Chris said something to me in one of the reads with him, you know, how he's always seen Raife, and it's always kind of sat with me, and I'm always so grateful to Chris for this. And he said, you know, Raife has this like pristine calmness to him. You know, he's always calm in every situation, like the Mitilivu nickname that we have for him. But then underneath, there's always this like raging river, right? That's always just like firing away, and he's there. It's always there, just like ticking away. And I really tried to take that into my performance as Raife, because I think that's important. You know, I think and that's true. He is a calming presence, you know, in any situation, and I think he's much more calculated than Ben is.
Mutulivu. Right? That's what they call you back home. Huh? Swahili for the calm one. Unshakable, constant, calm, and collected, no matter the circumstances.
But what I love about the Reece, Ben, Raife dynamic is that as a tripod, the three of them all bring such strengths to a team. But then when they're kind of separated, you start to see the cracks, right? How they all kind of complement each other as a three.
Yeah.
Work well together, but you can sort of see, and I noticed that in when we're working on scenes together, which is interesting as actors to kind of notice that as you're doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man. So what was it like to show up because we were supposed to start filming a couple months earlier. We were planning on filming in the Middle East somewhere, and Israel kicked off October 7th and caused some concerns. So we had to move to Santa Clarita, California. So now you're flying out there. And what's it like your first day on set? When you walk onto that thing, and what was your first scene? Are you like getting kitted up right away in all your SEAL gear? What is the first day on set?
Yeah, well,
like
we actually had, I had like 3 weeks there working with Jared
Nice.
Shaw and Ray Mendoza doing all the kind of the training and the weapons training and room clearing, all that stuff, and me and Taylor working together as a team. And so I sort of felt really settled in the whole scheme of things before we even started shooting. But my first day on set was so is the when they're running the drills with the Iraqi Special Forces guys, or the what do they call the ISF? Yeah. And I turned up on set and I was the only one in this really tight t-shirt.
Well, they don't make specialty sizes. They weren't prepared for the specialty sizes. They weren't.
Yeah.
They're not used to having someone in such good shape.
I maxed them out, yeah. But
Just in time.
Yeah? Hey, how's my blood brother?
Living the dream, eh?
That's a good shirt. Do they make it in men's?
Sure, do you want one?
No way.
originally, the idea for the costume was supposed to be, I was supposed to have the like a plates on as well, right? So it was supposed to be like covered up. But then I turned up and I thought there would be other actors or, extras or the other like SEAL guys with these t-shirts on. And I was the only one. I was looking around going, what's going on here? And I said to Jared, I was like, is this normal? Like, would someone wear this? And he was like, yeah, it's cool, man. Yeah, it's cool. Don't worry about it. So that was my first day. So my first day on set was wondering if my nipple was too much.
Well, I think it cost a lot to VFX those out in post-production.
Yeah.
Oh man, that is wild. So I didn't know you were supposed to have a plate carrier on, and then they just decided
That was the original plan. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man, then they just decided, hey, it's too hot, or hey, nobody else is wearing these things, or we're not really doing a drill that requires
no one else.
that.
So everyone just went down to the layer that was underneath. So they'd chosen the t-shirt that would be underneath it.
Oh
But then
man,
I just ended up with skin tight
because
t-shirt.
they're probably wanting to highlight the arms in the plate carrier and went that direction or something like that. And then when the plate carrier came off, but it works, and we get a good laugh out of Chris meeting back.
Yeah. Which of course was one of many versions of a line that he chose to.
Yeah, we saw a few of those. We went with the. Did they make this in men's? I think. And then, there's another one about Baby Gap. Where'd you get this Baby Gap?
Where'd you get that from Baby Gap? He was like, what size is that? Medium? Do they only paint those on now?
Yeah, nice. Awesome. Oh man. So that's your first introduction of those scenes that we get in episode 1 of you guys running drills.
Yeah. And then actually after that, so we did that whole, because our first day shooting was Chris turning up, Alpha Platoon arriving. So that introduction of Chris coming. And then at the end of that day was a huge scene between me and Chris in episode 2, which was the discussion of which of us is going to leave with Ben.
It should be me. They want a lieutenant. It should be me. He's my friend. He's my fucking swim buddy.
Yeah, and he's my chief. I'm the one who put him in that room, knowing how personal it was.
So you jump ahead, essentially.
Because we had to get, so Chris had scheduling issues for that LA shoot, right? So we had to get all of his scenes done before leaving LA. So everything that was on that LA part of the shoot, we had to prioritize all of Chris's stuff. So yeah, we jumped ahead to episode 2 scenes, and yeah, so my first day was like that big scene in episode 2 when the two of us have that chat about me leaving and me being ready to leave.
Yeah.
Which is a great scene. Like, I think it worked out really well.
How is that jumping ahead like that? Have you done that before in other shows and movies?
Yeah, you kind of get used to it on these shows now because, you work in these blocks and then sometimes there's location fixes. So we have to, there might be a scene in that same location 3 episodes ahead, and you just have to shoot it at that time. So yeah, I mean, there's lots of ways to prepare for that. I think the best thing is, if you over all the scripts, if you're reading all the scripts, then you can always get your head in a space there. It's tough because the only thing that's really hard is that you don't want to preempt a performance that hasn't been done yet, right? So you don't want to think in a scene that you're going to shoot in between those 2 scenes, right? In between those 2 episodes, something might have affected the way you then play that scene if you'd have shot this one before.
Right.
So, it can be frustrating usually down the line when you go, oh man, I would have shot that scene differently. But ultimately, that one was great because it's only an episode ahead. We know what's going to happen.
Right.
We know all that happens with Ben. So
you're not jumping episode 7 or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And missing 7 months or 4 or 5 months of filming and developing the character and evolving it, because you're evolving over the course of a season as well through these different experiences. So I can see that being more difficult than this is the next episode. We know exactly where things are going from here.
Yeah, that one, as things go, that was more of a simpler one to do. But I've definitely had ones before where we've had to jump ahead like a few episodes, and it's that can be a bit of a mind screw.
Yeah.
And Ben's as sound as any of us.
Are you sure about that? You look closely enough. You'll see those strings vibrating.
I love the one with you and Chris, though, when you guys are talking about Ben. It's just you guys talking about Ben, and you can see the strings vibrating. And I mean, it made it such a great line. It made it into the trailer or the teaser right there in the promo material, and it's so good, so good. I love that.
Yeah, I think it says it all, that line, right? That sort of says it all about Ben. He on the surface is a phenomenal soldier, SEAL, team player. But there's something that I love, and there's lots of moments where Raife, I purposefully was always kind of watching Ben especially you see in the first episode.
In the fire.
Yeah, the fire and stuff. Yeah, where he's just got eyes on him because he's seen this kind of 6-month tour of him seeing these cracks. And Reece has been away, right? So he's not been with him day in, day out. Yeah. But Raife is seeing these strings vibrating, and I think that's a nice thing that then Raife carries on into when we get into the espionage stuff. He has to carry that, but he also has the weight of Reece asking him to do that for his brother, So
Watch out for our boy!
that's what is Raife's kind of dilemma throughout the whole season, is him knowing that is any of this for the right reason.
Yeah. Oh man. And what was it like to film that scene around the fire? I love that scene with you guys around the fire pit.
Yeah. That was so good, man. It was the first time that all of us were a group sitting together, having Jared there as Boozer as well. And it was and also what was great is that in between, we all sat there, he was just on the guitar. I had that cigar on the go, and we all just sort of sat there in between the takes having that kind of chat. So we were sat in that energy, that kind of banter energy. And there was some stuff we were talking about that was a bit more serious, a bit more heartfelt, and then that just sort of sat into the scene then.
Right.
So, and I was speaking to Alvy, one of my SEAL buddies, and he was saying, he was like, man, that I've been in that situation so many times, right? And I'm sure you can attest to that. And that's what we wanted to capture. We wanted to, and Jared even said at the time when Jared was there with us, it was like, this is so great, it's so authentic.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, so that resonates with. It's going to resonate with everybody. It's such a great scene. I love when you get the compass and love it. There's a little callback. There's a little touch point with Cry Havoc, the book about Vietnam, because we have because that's in that scene too. The compass that Reece's dad uses in Vietnam. We have that touch point in there. And
before I forget, I brought gifts.
Well, besides the Cubans.
No, those are from your dad. And this is from my dad. It's his wrist compass from Nam. Figure you can take it on some of the hunts you do after deployment.
This is a piece of history, brother.
Yes, it is.
I can't accept this.
you can agree to hold on to it a while. I know this has been a hard one. You boys need to hear it, that what we're doing out here is appreciated. People didn't say that enough during our fathers' wars. I'm proud of you.
Thank you, brother.
That's a great scene. I love that one. And then what was it like filming the scene with LaMonica and Taylor when Taylor has that amazing, powerful scene and it's what was that one like?
Yeah, so that scene with Kitsch and LaMonica was one of my favorite ones of our shoot. I remember that being the first time that I watched Kitsch and was like, man, this guy is really good. He's really good.
We train these men to stand up where we stand down, while ISIS is strapping bombs to their fucking legs. That's what matters.
Chief, let's go.
There's certain scenes that you do in your career where you are a part of them and you feel like it's a real privilege to be there because you witness something really special. And this was the first time that I was watching Taylor. And sometimes you catch yourself as an actor, right? You catch yourself watching someone's performance as an audience member almost, being like, whoa, that's like amazing, because you're so immersed in it, right? Yeah. And Taylor has this incredible ability, which is so rare as an actor, to be able to have the script, have the stuff that's written on the page, and then kind of mold his own stuff brilliantly into it. And it will just like whack something else, and it'll just throw it in there. And it's so truthful and real, and it's from here, you know? And to watch that as an actor is really special because you're seeing someone in a flow state.
Yeah.
And Taylor in that scene was in a pure flow state. And my role as Raife, you know, to try and bring him out of that situation, to try and like calm him down, it felt very real. It felt like he would swing for me if I tried to do it, you know, like it felt like he was on fire. So yeah, it was the atmosphere while shooting that scene was incredible. Yeah, really special.
You go tell my men what you just fucking told me. You got the balls for that? I'll fucking wait.
I need you to stop now.
Man, speaking of Taylor, I got a Dark Wolf T-shirt on. That's
Taylor
got.
Excellent. Yeah,
so
that's
Taylor,
the stash you got from last year. That's amazing.
There it is. So
I have those stickers in my gym here. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. It's so Taylor. It's so Kitsch. You know,
it is.
It's fantastic. And then what was it like to get the trident pulled in that scene when you guys march up there and now you're portraying this character and you've been around real SEALs and you know, having that sense that this is, I mean, there's all these connections on these sets that are so real. And what is it like to get that trident taken in that scene along with Taylor?
Yeah, what really helped actually for so many things, but what really helped was having really deep, meaningful conversations with all the SEALs on set. Because we had so many there through that whole process, I became very close with a lot of them, and you know, I was so grateful to them to answer all my questions, you know, and because I was like a sponge on that set, just wanting to like absorb all the information, and really getting an idea of what that means, especially to someone like Raife, who's had this very long career, a very decorated SEAL, you know, and that's his ending, right? That's how he gets taken, and same for Ben. Yeah. And I think, you know, it goes to show, like, I mean, Alvy was saying to me, one of the SEALs, Chris Alvarez, you know, he was saying to me, you know, Raife or Reece doing that for Ben it says so much that they're taking the hit like that. But also it's that support, the unrelenting support that you give each other in moments like that. You don't just drop someone when they make a mistake. Someone goes with, no matter what that means. And I think it's a selfless moment for Raife, because even though there's two ways to look at it, you know, because I think some people might watch it and go, oh, well, he was ready to go. You know, if you don't understand what it means having your wings taken like that, you'd be like, oh, well, he was ready to go anyway, so fine, you can just leave with him. But that's damaging to one of these guys, you know, and I really got a true understanding of that, and that then stays with Rafe forever, you know, knowing that that's the way he left the teams. That's going to stay with him, and he's always got that like tough exterior, right? But that sits deep, and it grows inside of him, and I think, you know, we see that through Dark Wolf, but then, you know, onward from that as well.
Yeah, into True Believer. This Q&A is brought to you by Huxworks. This is from Joe Kelly at Phantom Slam on X, and he asks, is the intent to bring some of the history of Rafe and others articulated in the books into Dark Wolf to help with background storytelling? We did that a little bit in Dark Wolf here, setting them up so we wouldn't have to go back and take time out of True Believer, Terminalist Season 2. You'd already have met Mo, played by Dar Salim. You already have met Jules Landry, played by Luke Hemsworth. So we did that a little bit already, and in the seasons to come, if we get another Dark Wolf Season 2 and Dark Wolf Season 3, there'll probably be a little of that, but maybe less, because I really set those characters up in True Believer, my second novel, and having some of their backstory in Dark Wolf allowed us to just dive right in Terminalist Season 2, True Believer, right into that storyline. So maybe a little bit, but we'll see. And you never know exactly, once you start this process, what that end product's going to be. When you sit down with that typewriter, keyboard, pen and paper, making notes, doing all those sorts of things, and then what the actors bring to it, how things morph over time, you never know exactly what's going to be in there. But we shall see. Seeing it on the big screen, though, like I'd seen it on my computer screen, the same computer that I use for everything else, and seeing it on the big screen in New York at the, you know, all together was so much fun. What an amazing night that was. And to see, I mean, all those scenes in episode 1 were just incredible in a movie theater.
That first episode is like a movie. I mean, I could have just carried on watching for longer. It was, I kind of wanted them to show episode 2, you know.
I know, because there's such a change.
Yeah, exactly. You get that shift into Europe and this espionage world, which is so different in episode 2. And that's what I love about Dark Wolf. You know, it starts off in the depth of war in Iraq, and then all of a sudden you're in Europe in this kind of espionage world. So the aesthetic of the show changes so much throughout. But yeah, that premiere night, man, was really special because, you know, and I think as well to have a lot of the SEAL guys there as well, watching it and appreciating it. And then I was so honored to have those guys come up to me afterwards and saying, you know, you guys really, you got it, you know, that's what it is, and you got it. And to me, that's when it's worth it. You know, loads of people can watch this show and loads of people can enjoy it, and it's great, and I want them to do that. But if we're servicing these guys who have served and they go, you are portraying it as it is, then we've done our job. You know, it's so important to all of us. You know, it's at the forefront of our minds when we're making this show. It truly matters. So that was a really special moment for me personally, you know.
Yeah, and man, that whole 3 days was so cool. From the premiere to the next day doing press was super fun, and then going up to the to do our military base visit up on Long Island the next day, and going up and we went up in the C-130 and watched the guys, you know, jump out and everything, and I meant to make sure I was strapped in so I wouldn't follow them right out the back, because that was interesting. But then you got to go up in the. Did you go up? Oh, you didn't get to do the helo either, right?
No, I had to leave. I had to get back to New York. So,
that's right. We both had to leave. That's right. I had my book signing I had to get to, and the pictures of Luke in the helicopter, like he looked like he belonged in that thing.
He does. He did. He was having too much fun for sure.
His legs
but
is
that C-130,
out.
man, like that was, oh wow, what a special experience that was to see those guys do that. I mean, it makes you realize sometimes, like, you know, I'm in shape, you know, I stay in shape, I stay fit, you know, and then I see the real elite dudes of the world, And I'm like, oh God, I've literally been emasculated.
No,
It's
no.
just incredible, those guys, completely like just absolute units.
Well, at least we didn't have to do a workout with them because I've, as you know, I've let off on the gas from January 1st essentially to now since I had to write a book, and I haven't quite figured out how to do the balance thing yet. But I was very relieved that we didn't have to do a workout with them as part of that day.
Yeah, I tell
You
you
would
what, I
have done
saw
great.
some. So they had like that leaderboard,
Yeah.
of all the different workouts, the numbers that they were kicking out on some of the workout challenges. I was like, oh my God, these guys are machines. They're like doing some crazy numbers. Like just it was also the transition of like their strength and their like endurance stuff. That balance between the two, like that's so hard to get. You know, that only kind of elite athletes get really. And these guys were kicking out some serious force for sure. Yeah, they were impressive.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Who and what you fight for are the only things that matter to you right now, my friend.
And who do you fight for?
You don't have the time to ask the questions.
Because I was thinking America, but you have an accent that I can't quite place. Maybe you're a man without a home, without a cause.
And so online, like one of the first things that when I posted about Dark Wolf and True Believer, some of those first comments were like, everybody's very negative online. I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but I shouldn't say, everybody, the ones that stand out. And like one of the first comments was, they'll never have Raife have a background from Rhodesia. You know, like this a statement, you know, from someone like, yeah. And I lean into it in the books. You know, we lean into it in the show, and that's your background. That's your family background. So it's really cool to be able to explore that, and not really have anybody that I have ever heard up the chain of command, for lack of a better term, even question it. It's just a part of your character's background who makes you who you are. And then we had like no one's gonna. On the accent part, I want to ask you about working with the that coach for a little bit before we started. But you have a person whose parents were in Rhodesia, but moved to South Africa and then come to the United States. So you have that kind of more Rhodesian accent, a little South African, then to the United States for decades. And that's where you grew up as Raife. So there's no one really there'll be like maybe two people in the world that could say, oh, wait a sec, I went from Rhodesia. My parents went from Rhodesia to South Africa, where I was born, and then to Montana, and I grew up there. So I got my parents' accent in the house, but an American accent at school and everywhere else. Like two people in the world will be able to say, because that's going to be such a unique accent with so many different, and then going back to what is now Mozambique in your summers to work with your uncle type of a thing. So. No one's good. I mean, people will probably say something online, but there's no one that knows what that accent would actually sound like with someone who has that background.
No, and the thing is like I said to the guys, we talked about this, like having like this kind of crazy hybrid accent from all over the place. And I said, I feel like we need to pick a lane or at least like neutralize it in some way, because otherwise I'm going to sound like some kind of crazy hybrid accent, which is then becomes distracting, right? Yes. From a performance standpoint. So for me, what was really important is that it's truthful, and also the way that his energy, right? There's a lot of guys I know a lot of guys from South Africa, and I know a lot of guys from that kind of Mozambique area, and they have something that Raife has as well, which is that kind of grounded tone in their voice. It's like an effortless control of every situation. When they describe situations, it's always like this element of control and calmness, but with deep authority. They have this huge amount of authority in their voice. I don't know if you've noticed this when you've been over there and worked in that side of the world, but when I was over there, there's certain guys that have that to them, and that's what I try to draw in from Raife. So it's not always just about what's coming out of his mouth, but it's also how he sits in it, his energy and everything. And that's all that time he spent over there in Rhodesia with his uncle, growing up there and hunting and living in that world. That influences the way that it sounds as well, So I wanted to try and capture all of that, because if I start having like something that a Montana resident would say, then it's all going to get very messed up, and then I'll get loads of comments.
Oh my, yeah, because it doesn't. Yeah, like I said, the only one person will be able to say something about. Will know what that accent would possibly have sounded like. So no, I think that's definitely the right call, because I could see any actor concentrating on this accent that, like we said, one or two people might be able to say, oh, I knew someone that had this route from Africa to the United States like that, and this was their accent. And I can see that being like thinking about that rather than the performance. I can see that.
Yeah, because before anything else, it has to be truthful, right? You got to believe what the guy's saying. You got to like feel that he's real. And you know, it's very tricky when it comes to accents. You know, like if you're doing something that's especially a rare accent in some way. You know, the last thing you want is people to be like, what's going on with his accent?
Right.
Like you want to just feel truthful and real no matter what.
Yeah.
And then you start to forget about any kind of accent. It's just like, that's who they are. That's what they sound like.
Yeah. That's why we in dialogue, we talk about your history and your family's history and that Rhodesian wisdom and that sort of thing. So I love that we lean into it that way. I think that's really, really cool.
You were right about the accent. I've lived all over, but my first home was Africa. And my first love? The hunt.
And then we got this tone shift from, like you said, from Iraq up to Europe, and that really starts in episode 2. And so you've been running around with kit on, and you've been shooting, and you're on the 50. I love that you get on that 50 and down that bridge, which is awesome. And then you make this shift up to Europe and meet the rest of this new team that you're going to be working with for the rest of the episodes here. And so, what was it like to then go and hang out in Budapest? Not the only place you guys went, but Budapest for the most part for all those months, and essentially drop this thriller into a espionage type of a vein.
Yeah, it was. You know what's weird is that we felt the tone shift as well, because we've been over in LA shooting all the Iraq stuff, and then when we got to Budapest and there was all these new characters that weren't over there, so we kind of felt that thing of shifting into that world as actors as well, especially, you know, me and Taylor, who had been over there. So it was a real tone shift for us as well. So the best thing about it was we got this new ensemble of characters, right? And who are really fun. Like we have like Tal and Rona Lee as Eliza, and then of course Landry coming back in, then Dar as Mo as well, you know. And I think when it becomes that show, then we kind of go, oh, this is what it's becoming, and it really shifts gears. And when we did that club scene in episode 2, that's when I think you really kind of get that feeling of, because also the really important thing to get as well is these guys who are operators that are working in Iraq, you know, in these war zones, and then they have to just fit in amongst like guys who are just going to the club.
Yeah.
So it's a very different one. I think Raife in particular is uncomfortable in that setting. You know, it's what he's used to at all. Ben seems to like jump into it pretty easily. He's got killer instinct, whereas I think, Raife has to adapt slightly. And the thing is with Raife as well, I don't think he ever trusts anyone. You know, he's not trusting this group of operators have been put together. He doesn't trust the agency. So it's a difficult turn for him. Yeah.
Seems like a good time.
Yeah. I'll feel better when we make contact with Haverford's assets.
Yeah, that family background and the book's being betrayed essentially by strategic level politicians and leaders throughout. You know, this trek from Rhodesia to Montana that they eventually make as a part of that character. But when I saw that scene, oh man, with you guys in there, and then you go run through the alleyways and you have the suppressed pistols and all that stuff, and you know, I think Chris did the screenshot in the text, and he writes, Is this a kind of a screen test for the next Bond? Because you're in that, it looks awesome. It looks so good, and I mean, you got the suit on, you got the suppressed pistol, and it's looking good.
How many rounds you got left?
3.
1. Cover me while I close the distance.
Easy day.
Moving. Move.
Yeah, it was fun to do. Yeah. If if you never get to play Bond, you sort of got to play at it there. It was a lot of fun. Yeah.
It was really cool to see that one. I love the tone shift. Love you guys drop the gaiters and sunglasses and get the more European look and switch out the watches, switch out the Casios and whatever else you have on, and you get to rock the Panerai and Taylor has the Tudor on there, both which have Frogman links in history. By the way, the Panerai to the Italians and Tudor to SEALs in the 60s and 70s, which we were issued some of those. But that's really cool. I love to see the whole shift in the wardrobe and the tone, and Taylor gets to ride the motorcycle, but we get to be around my bikes. It was just cool. It was just super fun.
Yeah, the whole Budapest shoot was incredible. Like we were so lucky. It was we became so close as a cast as well. I've never had that before to that level. I've become very close with castmates before. But we created something special on Dark Wolf. We hung out every single night, all of us as a group. It kind of became like we were like a family, I suppose, in that way. Like it's very rare that you have an entire cast where you're like, right, we're all meeting at this place, we're going to eat at this place. And my God, did we eat? Jesus, between us all, we can eat a lot of food.
So, every restaurant in Budapest.
What's that?
Like every restaurant in Budapest, I think you guys checked out.
Yeah, we cleared them out of chickens, I think.
I guess so. Yeah, especially you, because you're on that. I mean, you're serious about it, which is awesome. Which is evident also about eating right and staying on the workouts and everything. It's so inspirational. And what about that gym? When I finally got in shape between August and October and got to show up and I was feeling pretty good, and then we went to that gym. What was it called again? Flex
Gym.
Flex Gym. And they put up, I don't know if people know this. This might be the first time we're revealing this. Didn't they put up a big a poster or a life-size thing of you in there?
There's a couple of posters of me, but they've got. I mean, that's not saying anything because they have posters and life-size models of all like actors. Like, I mean, Arnie is in there. God knows how many times. The guy who owns the gym, he's really good friends with Arnie. But yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of people. I think Gabe's in there as well. Gabriel.
Oh, is he?
Freddie.
Oh,
yeah,
nice. Probably from Terminator. Yeah, because when they did Terminator, when they did the last Terminator.
Yeah, he's in there.
They filmed it out there.
So yeah, it's not saying much that I made the wall, but because I'm on the wall somewhere. Yeah.
Well, and remember that one guy that was very excited to meet you?
Yeah, that was a particularly excited man who was. You can see my pumped body on the wall. Yeah,
asking for your phone number.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah,
you blocked it out. That was so fun.
Yeah, it's like blacked out the trauma.
Yeah, that's a great place for anybody heading through Budapest and wants to work out. It's like a place. Yeah, it's like a destination now with all that stuff up there, movie memorabilia. Yeah. It's like
a theme park.
It pretty much is. It's really cool. All old school stuff in there, and like 3 or 4 levels. I mean, it's incredible. And
it's like, I think it's like 4. It might be 4 floors.
I think so.
Just straight up gym iron. Yeah, it's great.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was so much fun working out in there. It was really cool, and that was, I got to talk to Arnie because the owner of the gym was playing chess with him. I guess they play chess multiple times a week or something like that, and they play it on their, I don't know what app it is, but they play it on their phones and they can see each other on there. So he pulled up the phone and said, "Oh, hold on a second," and got to have a little conversation with Arnold Schwarzenegger. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that's amazing! Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
Oh, that was at the jealous.
Yeah, that was at the after party. Not the after party. Yeah, I guess one of the parties, one of the last nights that we were there.
Oh, in Budapest.
Mm-hmm. Yep. You might have gone by then.
Did you? No, I think.
You might have gone home by that point. But that was cool. I was like, oh wow, this is awesome. But yeah, super. That was such a fun shoot. And then for you, what was that like to go through that, I guess, this arc throughout that first season and get to that place where you're going to do what you you guys' eventual falling out? Because people know it's coming, because in that first season, there's Taylor talking to Chris as Ben and Reece in the car in first season, last episode, saying, "I can't believe you trust that guy," or something along those lines. And then we get to see why in this season. Well, was that hard to do? And then we don't say exactly what happens in that one of those final scenes between you guys.
It was hard to do because, the hardest thing about it is that me and Kitsch became incredibly close, and we wanted it to be like the fact that he says that in Terminal List season 1. We wanted it to be more than just like, oh yeah, fuck that guy. It has to matter, right? Yeah. Like the fact that they fell out, they became so close, and it was hard. That breakup between the two of them had to be difficult. They both had to be looking at it from two completely different angles. They both want that. They both want the same outcome effectively, but they're approaching it from completely different angles. And the reason Ben is doing it, Raife cannot get on board with that.
There's more coming, brother. It's time to go.
This the fucker who betrayed us is dead.
Executed.
Fucking right. Executed. The fuck you want? Fill out a shooter statement? Is that what you need? This ain't the teams anymore. There's no cuffs.
Yeah, at least in the teams we had a code. A code which allowed us to maintain the moral high ground. We far ceded that territory now, Ben.
And that's where they just approach the job in a completely different way. And they're not in the teams anymore. They're not protected by the realms and the morals of the teams, which Raife can't sit with. It doesn't sit with him. Yeah. And there's always this thing that Dave DiGilio always talks about, the dark wolf, light wolf dial and turning it on and off. And Ben has just kind of gone into dark wolf, and Raife feels that he's not able to pull it back. He's not able to see the light. And that's like, it was tough, but it was great because, it made that scene really emotional, and it really mattered, that final scene between the two of them. And
looks like your mind's made up. Why the fuck are you still here?
The same reason I came in the first place, Ben. Because you are.
Then stay and fight with me.
It's the wrong fight, Ben.
Stay and fight! We both want answers, and they're out in that airfield tomorrow. The only way out of this is right fucking through it.
This isn't about answers anymore. This isn't about Duran or Eliza, or even protecting Reece and our boys downrange. This is about you, Ben. Isn't it?
Yeah, I think I really hope audiences connect with that, because it has to matter.
Yeah, no, it does. You crushed it. And seeing the Screen Rant interview, it was so funny. So in the Screen Rant interview with you and Luke, and you guys are talking, and it's so much fun to watch you guys just talk in that interview. But Luke says, "Man, there's nobody else that could have played this part," and and you're like, "Except your brother."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But he could.
That was funny. maybe there's two guys in the world maybe could have pulled it off, But that was awesome. And I'll talk to Luke about this also. But you guys were up for the same part, and it happened.
Which I didn't know about until further down the line, actually, because I knew, because you kind of when you're all reading for a role, and I knew that I was down to a very small list of actors, and then I found out afterwards that who was on the list, or who was they were looking at, and then I saw Luke on there. But then I was like, because I've always been a really big fan of Luke's work, you see, so I was like, oh fuck, Hemsworth, he's great. And so when I saw that he got cast as Landry, I was delighted, because also, having read, listened to the books at that point, I'd done the audio books. Having listened to those, I knew exactly in my head who I saw as Landry, and the kind of who someone that they should cast. So when I saw him, I was like, oh my God, perfect. Yeah, he's great. And he's really embraced the full Landry thing this year. It's great.
He really has.
He really has. We always say to him, he's like, mate, you've gone full Landry. Like, you've really gone full Landry.
It's so great. Oh, man, but it's kind of like first season where we had Ben as a character in the book was not nearly as nuanced as what Taylor brought to that role, and what was on the page for the scripts was even way better than what I had in the book. And Taylor just brought that depth and that emotion and that nuance to the character. And I think the similar thing has happened with Landry here, because he's a bad dude in the books, and in the one book that he's in, and then Luke has somehow brought this humanity and depth and nuance to that character that doesn't exist in the book at all. And now he's brought it to this character somehow. And that's an achievement.
Born and raised in Africa. Fucking crazy. I'll start calling you Tarzan, bro.
Tarzan was British.
What's that?
He was British.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't born in Africa. He grew up there, but he was actually British. You know, because I'm African by birth.
Yeah, incredible. Like, I watched Luke play Landry, and like, he's, as you say, brought like a humanity to him, and like a relatability, and a kind of a what would be the word? I suppose like almost like a vulnerability in his craziness, right? So there's something that you kind of go, oh, what's the reason why he's doing this? And he's funny. Yeah, that's the other thing with Landry. He's very funny and likable, and that is Luke bringing him to that role. Luke had me in stitches at times during his little ad-lib asides that he was doing during scenes, like in these big group scenes, the big like kind of meeting scenes. Right, he'd always put something in.
Princess, time to wake up.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Mom.
Hello, boys. What the fuck is he doing here?
And I'm pretty good at like holding a straight face, but my God, Hemsworth is really good at breaking me. And he knew exactly what to say. But no, he brought something really special to Landry. And, you know, speaking of saying that no one else could play the role, I mean, I just don't see anyone else who could deliver what he's done with that part.
It's
amazing. Brought it so far off the page. Yeah, it's brilliant.
Yeah, so much so that people are talking about not wanting to have what happened to him in Dark Wolf happen to him in True Believer, because we like Luke so much.
Totally. And we all said the same thing. We're like, oh man, like you got to find a way of keeping him going. But I think that's, you know, the potential of the Dark Wolf show, right? Because we keep Ben alive, and I think there's a real potential there to keep Landry going, no matter what happens to him in True Believer.
True Believer, his fate's pretty sealed in that one. But yeah, hopefully we get a second season of Dark Wolf here. I know everybody's on board to do it and excited about it. But also Robert Wisdom. I mean, how much fun was he having at the premiere? Also, that was so cool. Yeah. He was loving it.
He's such a special guy, Bobby, man. He really is. And you know, we had a great time working with him. And he had some heavy lifting in Dark Wolf, you know, like he had some real expositional lines, like describing all those meetings where he's having to describe all the missions and all these different complicated names he had to learn. It wasn't easy for him, you know, and oh man, he's just such a joy to work with. There's such truth in his acting, and there's so much depth and nuance.
I don't blame you for being worried about stepping to this side. I know your family's history. I know their experience with the agency in Africa.
Is that supposed to give me some comfort?
I've been you. I know what it's like to try the civilian world and to walk away from a job unfinished. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw one thing: the fight. And everybody's still in it. Everybody still out there hunting.
And my God, that man can smoke a cigarello.
I know he's blaming us for getting him back addicted to them.
Yeah, exactly. God, I don't know how many of those things he went through during the shoot, but it was a lot.
Yeah, I remember in that casting we had to ask if he was okay with smoking, and man, he's all in for bringing whatever it takes to a role. It was
he'll do anything that's required.
Such a good goal, and man, I was so bummed that Rona Lee couldn't make it to the premiere because she's having a baby and all that, so she couldn't be there with us. But her character is amazing, and then Shiraz did get to make it to the premiere with us, and she had a blast out there. I'm super excited for everybody to see her, especially in one crazy scene that she has that we won't ruin here. But man, it's amazing. I'm really excited to see what she does next from here.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Shiraz as well that's so special is like this was her first job, really. You know, she'd done a couple of little things before, I think in Paris, but this was like her first real gig, and I just thought she was incredible. Like for a young girl coming onto a set, like a big set like ours, with a lot of actors, you know, who'd been working for a long time, and she really held her own and beyond. You know, she came in and delivered as that role. Like she's another one where you kind of go, I just can't imagine another actor playing that role. She's so good at it, and she just owns it. Yeah, she's great. I've been likewise very excited to see what her future holds.
Yeah, incredible. And that was one where I think we had the most kind of submissions for that role out of anybody. So when that casting call goes out or whatever that is, I remember watching it was like, oh my gosh, that took some time. I mean, there were so many. It was just rows and rows and rows and rows of people. And but she stood out and crushed it. That's awesome to see. This Q&A is brought to you by Staccato. This is from Hunter Wooden on X at HWooden22. Will Ben's disdain for Raife be revealed? Like in Terminal List, Ben says to Reece, how can you trust Raife when they were getting in the boat? Go back and watch episode 6 of Dark Wolf, and all of this should be explained. What's a scene that jumps out to you as being special or funny or something?
There's a few. There's so many like special ones. I mean, any of the kind of two-handed like deep ones between me and Kitsch really stood out. Like the wood chopping scene was really great.
Oh, I love that scene.
Well, you want to know what I'm feeling?
I do.
All right. Here's what my gut is telling me. And this gut has kept us alive more than a few times over the years.
Your gut has kept us alive.
When you're distracted, yes.
Okay.
But that's the partnership, right? Iron sharpens iron.
Yeah, that was great. And the first time that me and Kitsch really got to like delve into all that, because me and Kitsch talked a lot as well about these scenes and about what we're feeling and what we're going through and as characters. So when it came to crunch time to deliver on these scenes, we felt really ready and we felt like we had more in the tank to give. Mm-hmm. But a really special one for me was in episode 5.
He wanted me to experience that pain. And that's the kind of man my uncle is, you see. Everything is a lesson. And now this will be yours.
The scenes in Ep 5 were pretty special for me because I was working with one of my best friends. The actor we got in was my very close friend Luke Roberts, who's a phenomenal actor and did a phenomenal job in the scenes. But what was so special about it is, it allowed me to have such a trust in that scene. And I think a scene where you have to, do some nasty things to someone, trust is absolutely paramount. It's like in a fight sequence, right? You've got to act like you're trying to beat the hell out of each other, but actually you've got to have complete trust in that person. And that allows you to throw yourself into it. And those scenes with him were pretty special. Yeah.
Yeah. Those are powerful ones. And that's the one you read. That's the scene that you read for your first read that I saw.
Yeah. That was my audition scene. Yeah. Yeah. And so, that for me, like, it was quite special to then actually do it in situ. When you're auditioning, you always have it in your head. What's this going to be like? You just want to imagine the scenario. So to be in that room and playing out that scene was pretty special. It kind of made it all worthwhile.
Yeah, it exceeded all my expectations. I just love it. It's so cool, and it's also so great that it's tied to characters, but it's not specifically tied to a book. So people can't just go through and say, this is different, this is different. The color of this room is different, whatever, and just pick out little things that are different than a book, because it's going to be different. You're telling us when we do the books, like we're True Believer right now that you're filming, it's going to be different because one, you're telling a story obviously in a different medium, and there are constraints. In a book, there are no constraints. Up on the screen, there are constraints with everything from budgetary, location, actor availability, all these different constraints. You have to tell a story in this case for Dark Wolf, it was 7 episodes of about an hour each, but now 8 episodes for True Believer, and each episode has to have an arc for those listening or watching, and then there has to be an overall arc across all of those episodes. So it's a very different medium and a very different way to tell a story that has right and left limits essentially within episodes and then overall as well. And I find that part of the challenge to tell a story, make the best story we possibly can with those constraints in place, and that's what we're all out there to do.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It is a challenge, and trying to scope out those performances. And I think what's so interesting about Dark Wolf as well, you touched on this just now, but we're getting to play with characters, and these audiences are going to see these characters that they fall in love with from a book down the line in a completely different setting, in a different storyline that they've seen them in, right? Or they've heard them in, or like imagined them in. And I think this 7 years previous thing, 8 years previous to when we will have seen them in the first book, the second book. That's where this is interesting, because that's certainly what I did when I read the scripts, because I had already gone through like True Believer and Savage Son, and then seeing them in this setting, I'm like, it's so cool, because you're seeing where they came from, right? You're seeing how they got set up. And that's going to be really exciting to fans of the books for sure.
Yeah, it's great for me to see Reece before I created him, to see what he was like before I created him. And there's a lot of Chris in there, obviously. And he's funny, and it's fantastic. But to see everybody before the events really of the books is really cool and really special for me to be able to see that and be a part of it and help create it and be a part of that team. And I'm also curious about what that experience was like working with Dave, with Jared, with Max, with our director, all the team of directors, with Ray, like all of those people. And it seems to me my experience is very limited in Hollywood up to this point. But I mean, it does seem like a family, and it's always been best idea wins. And I don't see any ego about anything. It's all about the story and telling the best story we possibly can for people who are trusting us with their time and trying to get those authentic details right, so that we don't draw somebody who has lived that life in the SEAL teams or intelligence service or just in the military in general, or law enforcement or firefighter or whatever, someone maybe familiar with firearms, whatever it might be. Don't draw them out because of a simple mistake where they go, how could they get that? How could they get that wrong? Now they're out of the story. So if we can keep them in the story, knowing it's a completely fictional narrative, if we can keep them in there by getting those details right, that's really important to everyone. And just curious what it was like to step into that world. And I mean, you stepped in seamlessly to this, and it's so cool. And you and your actual family at home is such a huge, important part of this family now. And it seemed so seamless to me. What was it like for you to step into this and then take on this huge role, but especially work with those guys who are there every day? Like I try to get in as much as I possibly can, but I have the books to write. So Dave DiGilio is there every day. Max Adams is there every day. Jared Shaw is there every day. And they're keeping the eye on the authenticity, and they're talking to you, and they're morphing the story because you guys bring something to the character that wasn't that we didn't have on the page, and relationships develop between characters that are a little different than maybe what was anticipated on the page, and it makes it for a better show. I think I love seeing how it evolves and how every evolution, everything seems to get better.
Yeah, totally. And that's, I mean, firstly, you touched on like it being a family thing, and I think it's surprising maybe to some people to realize that was the thing that stood out to me straight away. Was it felt very different to any other TV show I've been on. It felt more like I was entering sort of a well-established business or something that was family run, you know, and they were welcoming me in. It wasn't Hollywoody, you know, it didn't feel like I was doing anything Hollywoody. This felt like very grounded, and it was very family friendly. Like they were saying, you know, it's a very child friendly set. You know, all the producers' kids come to set all the time. All the kids are welcome. So that made me feel great as a family man, you know, being able to bring my kids and my wife to set. Off the bat, it felt different, you know. And like I say, from that very first meeting with Dave, Max, Jared, and Fred, I just felt like I wanted to work with these guys because it was so collaborative. And as you say, like best idea wins, right? And that's such a prominent thing on this set, is that everything is a conversation. If someone doesn't like something, let's talk about it. Let's figure it out. Let's find the best answer for it. And there are no egos. That the best thing about this set is that they have clearly cast people who, first and foremost, they've spoken to and got to know. Not the first thing you do isn't a read. The first thing you do is a conversation, and you just chat and get to know each other, and you see if these are the right fit, right? And you see that with every single actor that's come onto this show. That in my experience so far, the ego is left at the door. There's no. I think what I like about it so much is that because the way that Jared and Dave and Max run the set, because they have such high standards and they have worked to such a high level in their fields, me personally, I feel I have absolutely no right to come in and have an ego, right? It's not that, there's no right there. So we come in and we're like, we're here to serve. We're here to get this right. That's what we have to do. And we're here to work as a team to make sure that happens. So for me, it's such a privilege to work with those guys. Like the work rate that those guys have is incredible. Like the lack of sleep they have compared to everyone else. Like those guys work insane hours. You know, Dave will finish a day at work. And same with Max and Jared, I'm sure. In fact, I know Max has told me this because he's like, I didn't actually get any sleep last night. But they'll finish like a night shoot, which we finish at, you know, 4 or 5 in the morning. Then they'll go back to their hotel or whatever, and then start writing scenes for the next day that need rewrites. Like for me, and then they're still there, showing up the next day, smiles on their faces, super friendly to everyone, giving everyone the time. They are the backbone of that show, and it wouldn't run the way it does without them. They are heroic, in my opinion. Like, yeah, they're incredible to work with.
Yeah, I feel so fortunate that we have this team that's come together over the last few years, and right now, true believer, crushing it. And in the book, your character comes in at the end, but once again, some world events have come into play. Like Russia actually did invade Ukraine, and in the book, of course, Reece prevents that from happening. But now it's happened in real life, so that's needs to be folded in. A few other things have morphed a little bit, of course, and I'm excited for fans to see what you do with True Believer, because what I've seen so far, it's just incredible, off the charts, and it'll be a little bit different probably than the book, which is how it goes. I always talk to people about, when they ask me about the differences and how I feel about that, I say the book First Blood by David Morrell, 1972, incredible. The movie, Sylvester Stallone, early 80s, also incredible. Both very different, and but both on their own just amazing. And so that's what I've always looked at. I've never said, oh, I can't believe we're switching this. I can't believe that's going to change. I went into this knowing that things were going to change, and knowing that the goal now is to make the best story we possibly can with those constraints we talked about earlier. But I'm fired up for people to see Raife first in Dark Wolf and then in True Believer.
Yeah, I think that what's great about what we're doing with True Believer, and I think this is when adaptations from books to show or movie work, is when you take elements of a book and the story of a book that people love, and then you broaden it. You can like expand that world into a role for TV. And I think that's what we've done with this season. I think I really like, there's stuff we do on True Believer this year that I have to pinch myself. It's been quite incredible, and I feel like Dark Wolf kind of ups it a notch from Terminal List season 1 in terms of like how broad it is. And then we've done it again with True Believer. True Believer is just so broad, and the world expands. And I think what was great about Dark Wolf is it sets up these characters that then obviously are in True Believer, right? And how far they've come, what's happened to them in this time to get them to where they are now in True Believer. So that's why Dark Wolf serves a real purpose for the Terminal List sort of main show, because it all kind of intertwines and cross-pollinates, and I love that about this world that we're building here.
Yeah. You know, I can't imagine doing True Believer now without Dark Wolf. And that's true.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally. And that's due to, you know, Chris's genius of seeing that, seeing Ben, seeing what Taylor brought to that character, seeing the fan reaction to that character, and then thinking, hey, you know what? Why don't we have a new show that focuses on Ben's character and tells the story of how he gets there, or how he gets closer to being able to do the things that he does in the Terminal List, and also introduce these characters that we're going to have in True Believer that we don't need to have backstories for, because they've been introduced here in Dark Wolf. And I mean, that was all Chris calling to say, let's do this. And I said, well, what do you think of this? And I said, that sounds like a great idea, Chris. Let's do that.
You know what? CP, he is like a clever dude. Like he runs around like a giant 12-year-old, but that guy has got a brain on him. You know, he's a clever dude. He's like, his brain is like moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour all the time. And it's like, it's always like popping when I'm talking to him. He's always like, you know, there's something else all the time. And he has a real talent for that. Like he just sort of sees something. He's like, what if? And then
it's so smart.
And he comes up with them, man. Yeah, he's very smart.
Yeah. Oh man, we have such a good team. So we'll see what, I mean, gosh, you know, you never want to, kind of count the chickens or whatever, you know, knock on wood, but hopefully we'll continue to expand this thing, move on, and we'll see, you know, what we can do with Savage Son and go on from there. Of course, the numbers dictate it to, you know, the higher ups, but, you know, if everything we've seen up to this point is any indication, we should be moving forward with some other things. And people are asking me about that all the time, and you never know for sure, but that would be awesome. Doing a Savage Son, because that's people's favorite book.
Well, there's so much more to tell, right? There's so much more to tell. There's this world, I think, is only going to expand, and the more we make like Dark Wolf and what we're doing with True Believer, I think it just becomes richer, and people will want to know more about these characters, you know, because they feel real, they feel relatable, and they're all so different. You know, they're all different within this world, and it complements the books. You know, and I think I mean, I personally, you know, having read the books now, you know, I think I want to see it as a fan of the book series. I'm like, I want to see this world come alive now.
Nice.
So no, it's exciting for me as well as a fan of the books to see this and to be a part of it. Is just, you know, so special. It really is.
Yeah, we'll see. Reece and Raife in Savage Son would be incredible. We have, I think, in my unofficial poll, Savage Son and Red Sky Morning are people's two favorites, I think, of the book so far, generally. But people that love like a True Believer love True Believer. Like there are people that absolutely love certain other books, and they're all in on those. But generally speaking, I think Savage Son and Red Sky Morning, if I was to be just taking input essentially from socials, those and talking to people on book tour, those are people's favorites. So to see you guys in Savage Son would be something special. That would be really cool.
It really would. I mean, I've told you before, Savage Son is my favorite, and I might be biased because of Rafe's part in that as well. But I just think it's such a great story, and so intense, and so many different levels to it. You know, starting off in Montana with the ranch, and then where it moves to. I just think it's a brilliant read. You know, and to put that on screen, I think would be really special. Yeah.
Oh man, I think so. And I forget if I've told you this before, but that Savage Son is the one I wanted to start with when I wrote down about 6, 7, 8 different ideas down on the table. Yeah. And I wanted to start with that one, but I knew the characters weren't developed enough in order to tackle the theme of Savage Son, which is the dark side of man through the dynamic of hunter and hunted. And even at the end of Terminal List, still not ready. But then at the end of True Believer, I was like, okay, now's the time. And that when I told myself I was going to write that book was in 6th grade when I read The Most Dangerous Game and by Richard Connell, which is a short story from the 1920s. And I told myself that one day I'd write a story that paid tribute to that one. and Savage Son was that novel. So it's a special one. So hopefully we can do that and keep rocking and rolling. But I want to thank you for taking this on. I mean, you are such an incredible actor, such an incredible human being. Love your family, and you have so many options and opportunities out there. You've done incredible work, and you can do so many different things. You chose to do this with us, and I just feel so grateful, so thankful, and so appreciative of everything. First you saying yes, and then everything that you did, pouring your heart and soul into this role. So from the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you for doing this.
Oh, no. Well, thank you, Jack, because it's truly an honor for me to take on this role and become a part of this world that you've created, you know. So it's so rare you get material that is from such a rich piece of source material, you know, and as an actor, that's a real privilege to jump on board with. So no, man, thank you. It's just a real privilege.
Appreciate that. And look at this thing that I grabbed from the, I think I grabbed this from the set of when we were in LA. So I got my little Terminalist Dark Wolf little slate right there. You can see that.
Excellent. Yes.
So got that sitting here.
Picking all the good stuff. I need to get a leaf out of your book. This is a great shout.
I know. I got a little. Got to liberate things as I go along. You know. I think I have Taylor's watch that he wore in this one. I grabbed that Tudor.
I should have taken the Panerai.
I know. Panerai got those back. I still need to figure out what, because I think there were two, because they have one in case you break one or something like that. I think there was a backup.
Yeah, there's two. Yeah, and I've got a different one this season as well, which is very nice.
Hey, yeah, you might just need to walk off with that. I think Nicholson didn't.
That's the thing. The props department at the end of every day, they're on to me. I think they think I'm not going to steal it. But at the end of every day, they're like, "Tom, watch."
I think there's someone just assigned. I know. Yeah, I think there's someone just assigned to do that. There's like a watcher for you to make sure you get those Panerais back.
He's a watch guy. Yeah.
Just to make sure. But yeah, you should definitely go home with one of those. I think, didn't Nicholson have something in his contracts where he would get to, it was either him or somebody had something from that era where they get to take whatever they wanted from wardrobe and set and stuff. It was part of their deal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a great point to put in the schedule. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, not a bad one. Some people have put these things and then later on they put them in storage, and then later on they've become, fairly valuable.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, because some movies that I do, like I did a movie at the start of the year which I actually produced as well. Nice. So that was quite handy because I was like, can I keep all of this?
Nice. That's awesome. Great. And what's that one called, and when does that come out?
Oh yeah, so that movie's called Better, in which I play twins. I play identical twins in it, that's going to be coming out next year. So we just finished shooting it, and we finished shooting it right before starting True Believer at the beginning of the year. So that's going through the edits and the final cuts of that now. So we're just finishing all the VFX of the twins stuff to make sure it's all really fine tuned. That'll be released next year.
Oh man, that's awesome. Well, can't wait till we link up again. Got to get out there to UK. We can hop on some Triumphs and take a ride, do something cool out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Let's get on the bikes. Yeah. It's about time, isn't it? I think.
Yeah. Every time we tried to do it, it was just things didn't line up over there.
Schedules, man. The schedules, busy boys.
Yeah. But we'll make it happen. And man, thank you again. And yeah, I'll miss you in Morocco, but I'll catch you in the UK or somewhere else here shortly. Yeah. And man, thank you again. Thank you. Oh man. And thank you again for everything. This is so cool.
Thank you, bud.
All right. Take care. Thank you for tuning in to the Dark Wolf Season 1 podcast. If you like this video, check out The Fourth Option, my upcoming novel, May 12th, coming in hot, hardcover ebook and audiobook. Find the trailer here and the author insight video here.